No, Dad, you got here early today.
Yeah, we're a little early. We know that people are busy and maybe they look at this later, hopefully. But anyhow, the YouTube channel, I just got some statistics for the YouTube. We had 15,000 views last month, which I looked at. I was just curious. So I looked up what 15,000 views on YouTube is, and they consider that good. That's a good amount of people. I mean, with 400 videos. That's great, but we don't hear a lot. I think people just like me. I use YouTube, but I don't think I've ever commented on a YouTube. But I think commenting really helps. I'm telling you guys to comment, but and I don't do it. I don't know why I don't do it, but I don't. But I would appreciate if you comment on my YouTube. That sounds hypocritical, which I think it is. But anyhow, before I thought today what I would do, talk a little bit about the business end of things. I'm very happy with the YouTube, although YouTube, honestly, if you guys are thinking about doing a YouTube channel, a serious one with just, content, that's all we do. Um, Malcolm, he's yeah, thanks. And I thought maybe today what I would do is I'm going to read through a few of these YouTube comments that we do have, and um, then read some estimates from a business end to show you what what I do on a daily basis to answer emails. I get we have a jot form on the website that people submit photographs. It's oftentimes not often, but sometimes photos for some reason don't download. I don't know why, Patrick.
About software to look at that.
So on their end, right? So I'm always, texting is great because you can always use that as a backup or call people. It's important to still talk to people these days, even with social media. You should still pick up the phone once in a while and communicate with your customers the old-fashioned way, which I like to do. But I like if people can't do the jot form, or it's quicker texting anyhow. And then actually texting from a business standpoint opens up more of a direct line of communication. So from a sales point of view, it's actually better. You do get, and then the phone call, just to kind of shore up a if it's a new customer relationship. But I could talk a lot about customer service to you guys, I'm sure. Um, but I really think that the way I was brought up in customer service, which was old fashioned, you know, but I still think it really applies, even though we have these tools. It's so important to communicate with your clients. They do appreciate that, I think, even though they themselves might not be used to that. Malcolm says, I set up my marketing so people call me first, then text. I only get the occasional email. Isn't that interesting, Patrick?
Yeah,
Malcolm's very smart. Malcolm's
yes.
old school. Malcolm, when I first started, especially, Malcolm probably can relate to this. My mentor was Mr. Rubenstein. He was a great guy. And he belonged to, back then, no social media, the phone book, the yellow pages. And he belonged to every civic organization known to man. He was out every night of the week. He was in, you name it. He was in it, at clubs and everything else. I think even in the weekends. And so that was the way we networked. We don't know how lucky we are, actually, Patrick, to be able to network the way we do now.
Wow.
It would have to you would have to really work hard to just to get the clients in the door, as they say. And then it doesn't always assure just because you're doing everything right, your legitimate business, as Malcolm and I have talked. You can be really the best upholsterer, and your prices can be reasonable, but still you might not be hitting the right market, the right pricing. So I would say half of my sales calls I don't get. So I mean, I have stacks of estimates, written estimates this big, and 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 that's actually the written estimates actually. So we have this first wave is email, second wave I would say text, and then a phone call, and then people actually come into the shop. And the people who come into the shop are the ones where I have the hard copies at the shop. So I try not even to think about the amount of estimates that I do, that I don't even get that far. But today, I want to read to you a couple of the jobs that we did get and the jobs that we didn't get, and kind of like the dialogue that goes with it. Malcolm says old school because I'm old. So let's read Pop and Steve 8 minutes ago, Patrick.
Oh, wow.
It's ply grip use as an application. It's interesting. Ply grip is one of the better innovations in upholstery that have come along. And the before ply grip, we would hand stitch everything. And there are different ply grips, some soft, some hard. I like the soft ply grip, and that's actually easy to use. Hi, Kevin. Great tips. Thanks. Any tips on working with ply grip and a relatively thick natural leather? You know, I don't. The only thing that you can use on leather, I just took apart a leather chair. It was the straight strips with the prongs in them. You really, it really doesn't work out too well with ply grip. So I think though that when you're working, if you have something that's like a paneled arm or something that's rollover, oftentimes you're putting tacks in it, and sometimes people shave leather. I've seen people like file like near the edges. If you need to use the ply grip, first of all, you probably need to little trick that I don't think I showed the hack when using full leather, especially like Malcolm just mentioned. He just mentioned that what I was just talking about is to thin it out, and that takes some time. I think you're not going to thin out the whole piece. Let's say you have an outside arm, you're only going to thin out. Probably want to cut. You probably want to make patterns in this case. Make sure they're oversized. About an inch, and then do your work to even it out or to thin it out at the edges. Remember that if you look at my tips, you always need a little bit. You need a little bit more to tuck in, and you don't want too much because then it will start showing peeking through the other side. But I try to talk people into leather work years ago. You never would use ply grip or even the tack tape. It was always closed up with nails. But I notice a lot of the newer furniture that's leather is no nails. It's closed up somehow, and I think on that furniture, like I said, I've only seen the straight edges, not any curve edges, which is where you need a ply grip. But anyhow. So Malcolm says, I looked at joining the local chamber of commerce. It's too expensive for me. If I did mostly commercial work, that might be worth it, but I primarily do residential now, so I spend money on Google ads. Yeah, I think Google ads. Do we do Google ads once in a while, Patrick?
Yeah. Couple
So what's our main source of advertising now,
Yelp.
Patrick? Yelp. I'll tell you, Malcolm. We cut out Yelp, and I was sorry I did. I mean, I do have a problem with Yelp. I feel as I shouldn't say too much, right, Patrick?
times.
But they do get results. They do get results, but you have to really stay on the ball, Patrick. You don't want too many bad. You need to be a good business person, right? You need to treat people well. I still feel bad about a 1 star or a 2 star. Remember from that?
Sure,
From
there
that
aren't
guy?
many, but that one was kind of a
I
unrelated
I thought
rating.
there was a miscommunication with that one.
Like
Somehow.
Yelp should have probably taken that one down. Nothing to do with the business.
But somebody has Elliot skiving, right? Elliot says thinning leather is called skiving, and that's what Malcolm mentioned too. Most of the new, thank you, Elliot. I haven't heard that term in a long time. Like I said, it's been a long time. Recently, though, I've been getting more leather work, so this is good. Actually, Patrick, this is good for me. I'm learning something here. Skiving using a skiving knife takes practice, but shoemakers have skiving machines. You might take the cut pieces to a shoemaker and have him skive the edge. That's interesting. And then Malcolm, getting back to advertising, I've asked my customers how they find me, and it's always Google search. Now, what's interesting about that, guys, is that YouTube comes under Google search, right, Patrick?
Well, depends on what you're typing in.
But
Did
no,
you get any-
sometimes somebody told me they Googled me and one of my YouTube channels
Well, yeah,
came up.
Google, yeah.
A YouTube
Google the
came up.
businesses should come up.
So, Patrick sometimes doesn't get a lot of the credit that he deserves because in this case, it's his push that did this YouTube. When he was a kid, we started doing this and we continued. But as it turns out, it's part of the search and it really helps. The more exposure, right, Patrick? As long as it's good exposure, not
You get the
bad.
bad stuff sometimes. So
Yeah, that's always going to happen, right? Uh, he says, look into a bell skiver, which is powered by for edge skiving. So brings up another issue about scissor sharpening, and I think we brought this up before. I have a friend that sharpens his own scissors, but he came in the other day and he says, "Hey, when that guy that does your scissors comes in, let me know. I'm gonna bring my scissors." In. So I don't think sharpening scissors is too much of a different type of a skill set. I've never done it before, and everybody that I've known that tries to sharpen their own scissors, they they I don't know. I think there's a special machine. You guys probably can may have some feedback on that too. But yeah, if I'm going to be doing more leather work, it might be worth looking into. So here we are with the repairing popped or broken button. Um, Se her 5727 says a beautiful explanation. Thank you, and she gave me a purple heart. What's a purple heart mean? That's a
I
military
was gonna
thing.
say, I don't think it's a Purple Heart you're thinking of.
No. Although we live in a community in Massachusetts, we're a Purple Heart community, Patrick. That means that either have a wounded warrior in town, or we know that in Sudbury we did lose one of our soldiers in war. I'm not. I think it applies also to wounded veterans, Patrick, too.
It is. You can survive. And no, Gold Star is what you're thinking of.
Gold Star, right?
Yeah.
So we have a Gold Star in our neighborhood, a Gold Star family in our neighborhood. So we say thank you to all our veterans out there. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. And then we have another one, most detailed thus far. Thank you, which is how to upholster 8-way tie with 5 springs. I assume Tina is talking about other channels, other YouTube channels. I guess have we ever like put ourselves against other YouTube channels to see if other people are doing this better, Patrick? Because we have found out it's very difficult to film these classes. The regular YouTube is fine for informational purposes, I think. But as far as the videography, Patrick, I can tell you this more than me. But we decided to do the online classes, which are paid classes that offer better camera angles. Don't we have an overhead in most of those too,
Yeah,
Patrick?
much better cinematography.
But it's still not an easy. I mean, we're talking a three-dimensional craft. We're not talking about wood, cutting on a plane, a flat surface. We're upholstering over surfaces that are round. I think that there's a certain amount of over explanation that has to happen, which I think I'm good at that because I've been teaching so long, and part of my teaching was with people with disabilities. So I tend to, if you guys watch a YouTube and you think I'm over explaining things, it comes from that probably. But I think an over explanation is better than just saying, "Here, this is how you do it. See you later." Especially when it comes to stretching fabric, and I think Elliot and Malcolm can back me up on this. It's one of the skills that was lost in the upholstery world because there was a lot of crossover slipcover people into the upholstery world. You know who one of them was? Betsy Ross. Betsy Ross, the most famous upholsterer, you guys. Uh, she was a seamstress in her. I don't know if you guys ever know this story. In her husband's shop in Philadelphia, and I think her husband either passed, she took over the upholstery business, the upholstery shop, and so she was known as somebody that was just sitting on a sewing machine most of the time, not somebody on a bench. So that she probably had to learn how to stretch fabric, whereas before she wasn't doing that. But I like to tell the story of the most famous upholsterer. So she's in there one day working away on a sewing machine, and the door opens, the bell rings. She doesn't look up because she's busy, And then there's a voice saying, "Excuse me, would you be able to sew a flag for me?" And she looks up, and there's George Washington, right? History is interesting when it comes to upholstery, you guys. If you come into my shop, you'll see the Friends sofa, Lady Di's chair, uh, H.R. Haldeman's sofa, Napoleon's chair. I'm forgetting something. Johnny Cash's chair that we've all been involved in over the years and done the pieces of furniture. But it's interesting how history is intertwined or interwoven, no pun intended, with upholstery. I think it's fun. I like talking about things like that to customers. Probably overbearing, but who cares? uh, then we have 7 parsnips. Are you stapling into fiberglass here? Womb chair restoration. Oh yeah, no, yeah, I think I was. So you can. I think it did work in that case, but there was still a lot of hand stitching. Not ply grip though in a womb chair. I think I have a friend that uses a lot of glue. It was either staple with quarter-inch staples. That was probably the trick there. She's talking about the womb chair with probably the insides. I probably upholstered the insides with short staples, but knowing that they wouldn't really hold that well, they don't into fiberglass. But I would have done that rather than spray it up with glue because I don't care how careful you are. Spray glue gets everywhere. It gets in your hands. It gets on the fabric. It's a mess. So then, when you put the outsides on, when you hand stitch the outsides, that kind of bonds it because you're pulling to the bottom. Which I believe the womb chairs are they fiberglass on the bottom. You guys probably know. I can't remember this particular one, but yeah, she's asking the question: Are you really stapling into fiberglass? And I think the answer was yes. They were quarter-inch staples. Yeah, Elliot says a Purple Heart, which is given to soldiers who have been wounded in battle, and is the oldest U.S. military decoration. I didn't know that, and it was instituted by George Washington. Patrick, speaking of George Washington, isn't it funny how that works? Patrick was telling me about a musket that somebody has that he knows, right, Patrick? I
Yeah.
won't tell you who, but it belonged to a her family. She could trace her family back to that, Patrick,
Some general, not
to a
Washington. I mean, geez, it
yeah,
wasn't
but
the
she could
British.
trace her family back to a general that served in the Revolutionary War. That's how far back her family goes.
Yeah, well, no, the person who owned it wasn't a family member. It
Oh,
was found owned
okay.
by somebody.
Oh, okay. But that's cool. So we live in Sudbury, and Sudbury is really our. If you guys don't know Sudbury, Massachusetts, our zip code is 01776, and we have two. You guys have heard. You might not have heard of Sudbury if you're from outside the area, but you've heard of Concord and Lexington. And Concord and Lexington have had an ongoing battle on who actually was the first shot. Lexington takes credit for the first shot or the shot heard around the world. But Concord was where the first real battle was, Battle of the North Bridge. But Sudbury is plays an interesting role here. It's kind of like they missed history. Oftentimes we miss it. I don't know if Patrick knows this. Not many people know this, but their soldiers went. I'm not going to say to the wrong location. They went to. There were places where the British could have come in from Boston. And there were two bridges, only two bridges spanning the rivers coming out. One being the Sudbury River, one being the Concord River. And they were just deployed to the bridge where the British didn't come, and they didn't get to the battle until later in the day. So, but what's interesting is the battle. They won the battle of the zip codes. So we got 01776. It's pretty cool, isn't it, Patrick? When you think about it. But their contribution to the Revolutionary War was great. And we lost a lot of people from the town. But see how we all seem to be into. We always have to remember that as Americans, especially when we're on the road and a fellow American cuts us off and we get mad, and we get
You're
mad.
really off topic now.
Just remember, Patrick, the person who cuts you off could be a descendant of Betsy Ross or George Washington. Derek says, "Sorry guys, we got a little off subject. They're not really. I mean, we're trying to relate it to upholstery anyhow." Derek says, "Hello from DY Upholstery and Sewing out in Auburn, New York. I love your videos." Thank you for saying that, especially from a fellow upholsterer. I love to hear that. I wonder what Betsy Ross would think of our station, Patrick.
Amazed.
You think so? Okay, then we got another one. Uh, do you ever put negative comments up here, Patrick?
Somebody mentioned your fingernail.
Oh,
They
really?
said it was fingernail fungus. Yeah.
No,
They
it's
said-
not fungus.
They said get it taken care of.
I know. You know what it is? I can't do anything about it, guys. For all of you aspiring upholsterers out there, uh, your hands are going to take a beating. I mean, so if you're, there used to be an old commercial on it. You puff a palm olive dishwashing liquid, and the manicurist would say, "Oh, you're not soaking. You're soaking in dishwater." Anyhow. But don't expect clean hands or blemish-free hands or fingernails. so so I never knew. I really hit my thumb really good. This isn't fungus. This is a dead root. And I never
Wow,
knew.
disgusting.
I know. I never knew fingernails had roots, but they do. And if you kill the root, the fingernail's never going to grow again normally. So I guess I could get a prosthetic nail, Patrick, but I'm not that.
Good.
I'm not that vain. Besides, it's kind of like a badge of honor, right? Maybe I should get the Purple Heart. No, I shouldn't say anything. I shouldn't.
Oh, you went too
No,
far.
no, I went too far. Patrick's right. This is from Feather American. Good Eagle. Oh, that sounds like a Native American name, which would be great. And this is an interesting one, you guys. Speaking of the three-dimensional aspect of what we do and trying to explain it, I guess this is a one-dimensional platform, right, Patrick? Video? It's one-dimensional, right? Until we have, like in Star Trek with the with that technology. Huh? Come on. When are we gonna have a three-dimensional YouTube where I could teach people in like a three-dimensional sense? Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't know what I'm talking about. He says, "Shut up, Dad." But anyhow, this is how to cut fabric around posts, and you are indeed a master. You can do it in your sleep. That's good. Thank you very much. But that is the thing that was hard about showing the cuts is because I had to stand off to the side and kind of because this is one of the we didn't have the overhead camera in that, so it's kind of hard to show the angles. And the thing about cuts cutting around posts is you a right and a left post are cut differently, right? Yeah. Well, the same, but you have a different perspective. Right-handed people and left-handed people have a hard time cutting the opposite post. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Malcolm says, "I had not done deep button tufted chairs in over a year. Now I have 4 large ones in a row, and just estimated for 2 more. My hands hurt." Yeah, they do. I mean, when was the last time I did tufted leather? That's tough. The fabric is tough enough. Deep tufting. I just tore apart. I have 2 sofas that I just did one, Malcolm, where it was a manufacturer's tufting, which is a joke. It's most people don't know. I mean, you go out to a store and you see, oh, it's a tufted. It's not hand tufted. It's machine made, and it's only the buttons are pretty much on. What they do is it's a separate piece of foam and Dacron, and they have the buttons go through, and I think they have those clips on the back side of them. But that's put on over another piece of foam on the seat, and then this was a mess. So I took that and I actually made the sofa into a non-tufted sofa, and you'd be surprised. It looked cool. I didn't think it was going to look great. She insisted she didn't want any tufting at all. So I changed it out to a pullover. The seat was pullover, the back and the arms were pullover. I have to say, there were panels on the front. She did it in a suede, an ultra suede, a light ultra suede. It really looked cool. Maybe I can find a picture of it. But I thought it looked super. And do we encourage people to post their own work on YouTube?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
You mean advertise their own business?
Yeah.
I don't mind you.
I don't
care.
mind
Yeah.
if you guys
You,
want.
the upholstery community.
How do you do that if they're going to do that?
Put
They
up a
just
link to
on there. They put a link on. I don't mind you guys doing that. Why not? I
someone
mean,
just did it recently. I think they're sewing. Well, they're asking where to buy a sewing machine, in
yeah,
a local area that you wouldn't have known.
yeah. So here we got making rollover arm caps. I followed your instructions and covered my sofa arms. Thank you. I have never sewn on a curve like this, so my instincts were to follow the front piece curve along the straight lines, and it worked. Basically, keep the edges together along the curve. I had to stop and adjust the edges as I went. Another little trick that we use is little notches in the pieces, just to line up your notches as you're sewing. That may or may not work because fabrics stretch sometimes, or little cuts. As long as you're not cutting into that half-inch seam line, maybe go quarter an inch, little cuts around curves, just to have your fabric, kind of go around a little easier. Things like that, little tricks. There are a lot of hacks within upholstery, really, and sewing. Sewing has a lot of those hacks. You know what we're faced with now? We're faced with um, people are really getting good. Manufacturers, higher end manufacturers, like of casino furniture, let's say, they're really getting good at really unusual applications. And sometimes I saw, I took a tour of a casino that people were going to hire me to do work, but my price points, they couldn't pay me enough for some of the work I saw to redo it. I mean, but they had these bar stools that looked like the legs of like a gazelle, like an animal. I would say that four legs on a bar stool. They were like probably about 3 feet, really long, and they had bent. They were bent, like they looked like knees, and they looked like legs. They looked like, and it was done in a red leather, the whole thing, and there wasn't. I swear, I didn't see a seam in the whole. It was upholstered legs. Maybe they were painted, but he told me I couldn't get in there to feel it, but he told me the leather was. I don't know how they did this. I'm baffled. And a lot of this stuff, when somebody hires you, you guys be careful of this because this can really mess you up. I don't even know if you can duplicate because a lot of these manufacturers, they're trying to outdo one another because they're trying to sell their product. So and people like in casinos and people in restaurants are always looking for the unusual in the furniture to attract. It attracts business. The visual is unbelievable. So this was in this casino. I couldn't get into this restaurant, but it was because the restaurant was closed. It was in the morning. It was a steakhouse within the casino, and it was completely red. There were red lights everywhere. Everything was red, including these chairs. And he asked me about them. I said, I don't know. And a lot of their furniture is like this. I would have trouble with about 50% of this furniture to try to redo it. And there's a reason for that. Is because Malcolm, you might be able to talk about this, and Elliot. I mean, they must have special equipment. Like for instance, a baseball stitch. You need a special machine for a baseball stitch. Yeah, I can do a baseball stitch freehand, but it's not going to look as good as a double needle machine. I don't have a double needle machine. Even top stitching can be a challenge. One stitch over it's can be a challenge. So we're going to be challenged. For you guys coming up, you modern upholsterers, you guys younger people, you might be challenged with this stuff coming up. You might have to really be innovative in the work. I'm already finding myself talk about, and I guess the reason I brought this up is because of the hacks and because of upholsterers are good problem solvers. As a matter of fact, the government has descriptions of every single trade, as you guys probably know. And I think I recall reading this years ago, but the first sentence, upholsterer, description of the job is must be able to problem solve. That was like the first sentence. I mean, so maybe what's this? Let's catch up on Elliot. Um, both customers specified. Oh, we got to catch up on some of the things that have been said here. I had not done deep button. I already read that. Both customers specified very heavy fabric, which is hard to form the pleats. Needed a lot of steam. So I warn people, Malcolm. some customers though are so insistent, aren't they? Like they want what they want. That I had a customer the other day, with this. She had a very heavy, unstretchable fabric, and I said, "We can use it, but keep in mind, my preference would be this one. Wool. Wool is the best. I used a wool fabric the other day, not for tufting, but it was a plaid wool. I'll tell you, it was a dream. It almost, ever have something that almost seems like it upholsters itself. You don't have to fight it at all. I didn't have to fight one pleat or one pull or anything on this fabric. It just went where I wanted it to go. The first time, the cuts were great, the stretches, even a mistake on a cut, you could stretch the wool a little bit more. It was really cool. And some fabrics are the opposite. Um, Malcolm says on Facebook, Patrick. I don't know what he means by that. He's asking on Facebook.
The group, yeah.
Yeah, the group on Facebook, right, Patrick? Which is the best way to launder old horsehair to reuse it? The old deck pad from the sofa I redid was horsehair, and I saved the hair to use in a Louis the 16th armchair I'll be redoing. That's cool. My customers have, I've never done this myself, but they've used pillowcases. They put the horsehair in pillowcases. Make sure the pillowcase closes though. Make sure you have a lock on the zipper or something, because if it lets loose, you have a problem. And you probably want to use a washing machine. If you have a second backup washing machine for the dirty stuff, or a laundromat. Although if they see you with the horsehair in a laundromat, you might be kicked out. And a soft cycle, I guess. That's what people have told me. A soft cycle, lukewarm water, Malcolm says some unusual pieces are hard to do in a small shop. Factories have specified equipment and the advantage of a lot of prototypes. Prototypes, man. We even have to do prototypes in some of the work that we do, traditionally. Um, Malcolm says, I tried cleaning horsehair in a pillowcase and prefer a bucket and a plunger. Strain it through fabric. I use shampoo. That sounds like a safer way too, especially if you care about your washing machine, or if your significant other is doing her silk, bedding after you were in there with your horsehair. Just be careful. We want to promote, a good, healthy home life. uh, So the upholstery show. Oh, somebody said, "Where is the makeup artist?" Is that the
That
person?
was Jimmy. That was Jimmy. I know, we really need one.
Well, this is coming from a guy that should wear a paper bag.
Oh,
Sorry,
he's
Jimmy.
one to
Is
talk.
he listening right now? Is Jimmy on here? Jimmy, if you're on here, sorry about that. Remember the unknown comic? Are you guys old enough to know who the unknown comic was, right? He would come out with a paper bag over his head. Remember him, Patrick? No,
Well, I know the masked magician. Remember him?
he came later. And then here's another one about making rollover arm caps. Uh, this was super helpful. Thank you so much. Love how straightforward you made this process. So that's good. That's good to hear. Sometimes in translation, right, you guys? I don't think AI has a chance with me. By the way, I just want to say that because I'm too unique.
Too deformed.
Too deformed. Thanks,
How
Patrick.
could they possibly match that fingernail? I don't know.
Elliot says the Gong Show. Oh, right. That's who the unknown comic was on the Gong Show. Actually, they've been showing some old Gong Show episodes, and some famous people have come through Gong Show, Patrick.
Yeah,
Did
like
you know
who?
that? I can't think of one right now.
Give me that famous one.
I did promise I was going to read some of my estimates, and I don't mind giving my prices. Pricing is another thing. I was thinking today. Patrick's off to New Mexico, especially now, so I'm going to be. I have to do the sales. I have to do the work. The marketing. I'm still going to rely on him a little bit, and the existing marketing with the Yelp, right, Patrick?
Yep.
I guess because especially now with you going away, Yelp is more important, right?
Still gonna be doing a lot of stuff remotely.
Yeah, remotely, but and I'm at the shop. I have to wait on customers when they come in. I have to make the deliveries. I bit the bullet today, by the way. I identified somebody that's going to help with moving, Patrick.
Oh.
Finally, Malcolm's asking if you're moving, Patrick. Is it just a transitional point at this point, or what?
Yeah, I know Malcolm commented on my post, so thank you, Malcolm. But that's just we're going out there to I think sell a house. So that's our mission.
But
We
I
out
was I was looking into New Mexico. Looks like a place that I could really fit in nicely. They've got a nice church nearby, St. Joseph's Church, and I was looking at some of the in what's the name of that Simeon, Patrick?
Not sure, but
Simeon is a town that's nearby. I was looking at
Cimarron.
Cimarron.
Yeah.
It's only 30 miles away. It looks really beautiful out there. I mean, they have a nice inn, a day inn, not a day's inn, but a bed and bath out there that I was looking at.
So we'll be back in the summer though. So
Yeah.
we'll be back in the summer. Then we're probably gonna go out and get our own house. That's our plan.
So Malcolm said it's a nice place to visit, but it's hard to make a living. I
Oh,
think
I could already tell Malcolm being down there. I mean, we've already tried to find contractors to help us with this house, and there's the guy like around here. There's a guy for everything. Out there, one guy does everything. A general contractor. They don't have individual. You can't just call an electrician out there. You call a guy that does electrician. They do
right.
floors. They do
They called
general contractor, right?
what's his name? Neil Young had a song about the old man. It was called The Old Man.
Yeah.
It was about a guy like that who lived on a farm. The old man, take a look at
Well,
myself.
there's no upholsterer. I can say that.
But the town where he's going, it only has 900 people. So I mean, out of 900 people, and it's very sparsely populated, right out there, the whole
Yeah.
state. But it I guess for retired people, it's nice. But
We're gonna have fun though. We're gonna enjoy the weather. That's for sure.
yeah. So we could, but Patrick can work remotely. That's one of the nice things about speaking of the YouTube and the internet, right? So let's get to some of these estimates. Oh, by the way, our class is starting tomorrow, and we have 10 people signed up. I'm very happy about that. I didn't think, I was a little disappointed. We didn't get to do the last class. We didn't have enough people signed up. We need a minimum of 5. We didn't even get that. Why do you think that was, Patrick? And
Time of
this
year, I think.
but time of year, this year we got 10 people coming tomorrow, which is a lot of people for me to teach by myself. But it's fun. It really is fun. I liked it. And unfortunately, guys, we didn't do well with the YouTube. Patrick, you still have the footage from that class?
I could probably something to do. I could release that while I'm out there.
Yeah, you could do that. Anybody interested in watching the class? It really didn't. I don't think it transferred very well, Patrick. Did you get that idea?
Man, it's too complicated.
Oh, the acoustics were bad, and different personalities. I'm running around. I don't think Patrick could keep up with me. And there was so much. I mean, you're getting. You know what? I bet would probably be good in that. Just the audio, Patrick.
I don't know. You'd be hearing things that are happening you can't see.
Oh, I don't know.
That'd be more frustrating than anything.
He says in Albuquerque. Malcolm says in Albuquerque, you can find specialists, but not in the smaller towns.
It's Santa Fe too, Malcolm.
So I got this chair. It's a wing chair, an ottoman estimate that came in. Standard wing chairs. The thing about wing chairs, guys, is that no matter how big it is, it could be a lady's wing chair or it could be a full size man's chair. And there's a big difference in size for height and girth. It's the same labor price for me. Uh, People say, well, wouldn't it be less for the ladies' chair? Usually, from a customer standpoint, they would ask that. But there's still as many pieces. That's the problem. You still have 2 wings, 2 inside arms, 2 panels, one inside back, one outside back, 2 outside arms. So it's the same. It's about the same amount of work, even though one's smaller than the other. So around the Boston area, when things were good, we were getting about $1,250 or $1,300 labor for a wing chair. But now we're down to 11, and sometimes on sales, I go down to if it's a little slow, we go under 1,000 because 1,000. If you go 999 or even 990, sometimes you'll get the job. There's been a lot of positioning with pricing, it's really challenging. Of course, you go down on your pricing and still your bills are the same. Your credit card interest rates are the same, things like that. But if you want to keep working, sometimes you have to work with what people are willing to spend. You where do you make it up? I don't. You really can't make it up. You have to offer free pickup and delivery sometimes to get a job. It's just the nature. I think it's getting a little bit better now. Here's a club chair. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know. Can people see this, Patrick? It looks a little glary and yeah.
I have to see what their
Can you
phone.
see that, Patrick?
I'm gonna go on the
Can you
screen.
look at that? I don't want to be throwing this up. People can't see it. It looks glary to me when I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it is.
It
Put it a little
is.
bit closer.
How's that? No. What can I do? Can
It's
I?
just very bright.
Can I darken this down? No.
Turn the brightness down on your phone, maybe.
Well, I'm not that good at it. But anyhow, it's a club chair. So a club chair has a loose cushion on the seat, a loose cushion on the back, and a skirt. It's funny. There's more work in this chair than there is the wing chair, but you cannot get more for this chair. The price on chairs is pretty set with wing chairs, so you can maybe get 12 or 11 on this chair as well, but you can't get. It really is worth 13. Malcolm says I just quoted 1,600 for a tufted wing chair with the loose cushion. Hopefully the pair will come in. Yeah, 16 is probably is a good price. It's probably what I would have gotten, Malcolm. I mean, that's what you. That's. But you and I both know that if we actually added up how many hours that's going to take, uh, that's still 22 buttons. He says. I've got to figure this out. 22 buttons, hand tufted. How many hours that would take? It's a lot of time, he says. But let's figure out the hours. I would say one day just doing the tufting, or a day and a half, maybe. So that's 12, 20. I'd say, you're talking 20 hours at least. 20 hours, you agree with that, Malcolm? 20 times 100 is 2,000. 20 times 80, you're at the 1,600. You know, I think we're worth, the longer you've been in this business, we're worth more. 20 is what, yeah, I'm thinking, yeah. See that you have to be this quick when you're talking to a customer. You have to be this quick. You know, that's straight hot. For you guys out there who haven't done tufting, who haven't, who realize that this is hard work, and this is physical work, and and you have to concentrate too. It's mental also, but and I think we earn our money. We really do. Um, but we're competing. If really, Malcolm, honestly, it should be a $2,000 job. But I could never get $2,000. I don't think for that chair, even in the Boston area. So I wanted to mention where I'm sitting in an area in Arlington, Mass, where I'm around. Talk about population. I think there's like 50,000 or 60,000 people just in my town, but around. I'm in the metropolitan Boston area. You're talking 1.2 million, maybe 2 million people. If you look where Patrick's going, he's in a town, 900 people. But even you extend that area, you have to go to Albuquerque, like or Santa Fe, right, Patrick,
Yeah.
to get that many people. So upholstery to support an upholstery shop, you need to be feeding off a large population and a fairly wealthy population, or above the national income at least. And then you have to figure out ways of staying in business if the economy slows down, which it has for a little while. I think it's picking up though. What does that mean, you guys? If you're in business, I think you Malcolm said spot on. If you could do more repair work. I know it's coming in my shop a lot now. People who went out to the box stores and bought you know leather sofas and all kinds of things. Um, they're looking to get new cushioning, and new cushioning can be good. It could be like a fabric sale, and you could charge a little bit for the labor too on redoing a cushion, or a disposal fee on the old cushions and things like that. So you need to kind of make up, Malcolm, right, on the 400 that you're going to lose not lose, but the 400 that you're not going to be able to get on those chairs, right? Yeah, and then he says, Malcolm says, what you need to charge also depends on your overhead. Boston is a lot, and so is Scottsdale, where he is. That's right. But people, you're always going to have in this industry, as you know, Malcolm, people working out of their homes. They have no overhead. uh, so that's our competition. Some good competition too. People working out of their homes. Although I have to say, um, people who are going to be coming out to see you would rather pull up to a legitimate storefront than your driveway. That's for sure. So a lot of those people have to work. Oh well, they work in house. Come to the house. That's how they get around that, which takes time. So there's always a trade off, right? So Patrick, what time is it?
4:30.
It's 4:30.
Yeah.
Did we do enough? Is there any other questions?
I think you did good. I posted on there, so you're gonna be doing this. You're gonna be checking in at least once a month while I'm gone.
Yeah.
I have them already scheduled, so you'll be on at least doing these. So that's good, right?
I would like to do more on the YouTube. I mean, if we were in a better position where I didn't have to work so much at the shop, my this is one of my favorite things to do. I wouldn't even mind. We could have done a video a day, Patrick, or at least a week, to grow the channel a little bit more. But we were never in it for you know the outrageousness of it, right, Patrick? I mean, we probably could do some goofy stuff like take the show on the road or something like that, or go trash picking or something like that. But we're not going to do that, right? We're gonna,
Now that you say that, kind of tempting.
well, we're going to be more. We always wanted to be informative, you know. Do a live chat discussion may be easier. What's that mean?
Like having people call in, maybe.
Oh yeah, what you need to do is charge. Also depends on your overhead. Yeah, and then Elizabeth says hello, hello Elizabeth. Sorry if you're just checking in. We're just about to check out, but you can always look at this YouTube. This was an interesting one, wasn't it,
That
Patrick?
was good. Good to know.
So remember, you guys. I think we're in a great trade. I think it can be fun. I think. Hi, Don. Maybe I'll talk a little bit more, but I wanted to maybe close out by talking about how much of an impact a small business. I was talking to a customer about mom and pop stores, and there was an episode of Seinfeld which I kind of they do touch on social issues pretty good, Patrick. But there was a episode about the mom and pop stores, and it was a big joke. The
That
mom
idiot and his nosebleeds.
the mom and pop store was a big joke, right? It was what type of store was it, Patrick? Do you
It was
remember?
a shoe shop, shoe polishing store, I think.
No,
Wasn't it?
No,
Yeah,
it
it
wasn't.
was. Everybody took all,
Oh,
all of
right.
Jerry's old shoes.
No,
And
no, he was doing something else, but he had to do that
then he
because.
got the nosebleed. That's when he discovered the electrical
Well, the
wires.
point is, oh, right. Elliot says it's the shoe store that stole his sneakers. So Elizabeth says, I just came across your channel. We'll watch on replay, but don't go away because what we're talking about. So I really take pride on being part of a community. I don't live in the community where I work. I live about 30 miles away, whatever it is. But I think I've made an impact in the 14 years that I've been there. Part of it is there's a few reasons. I'm in a mixed use area. It's just a strip of commercial buildings, 4 or 5 stores. There's a bakery. There's a caterer. There's a barber shop, and there's an Indian place in my store in my block. And then there's all residents around me. And then Arlington's kind of spotty with this. That's the setup in Arlington. But I'm involved with the local church. I'm involved. I try to shop on the street that I work in. Everybody knows me. I think I make a difference. I try to help people, whatever. So I think mom and pop stores shouldn't be laughed at. I think they're. I was talking to a customer about this, Patrick. I think they're a very important part of a community, the fiber of no pun intended, the fiber of a community, really. And Elliot says Kramer took Jerry's sneakers to the store to try to save it, but it went belly up. Anyhow. Well, we hope that
Doesn't happen to you.
we don't go belly up. Although a couple of times during COVID, I don't know, it wasn't easy. It's been up and down along the way. It hasn't been easy, you know. Of course, life gets in the way too, you know. I mean, I've had 6 weeks of sciatica that I might as well tell you guys right now. Don't get sciatica, man. I couldn't even get up off the ground a couple of times, and I wanna just if I should get a Purple Heart, it should be for this, right, Patrick? I upholstered a sofa. I'm not kidding you, on my back at the shop. I'm on my back upholstering the sofa, turning the sofa, doing the seat, turning it up and down, and it came out pretty good. At least I thought so. But anyhow, you guys, I'll let you know. I'll have something to talk about next week with the class.
Next month, you mean?
No, next month.
Unless you want to go on more in between,
No,
you can do
no,
whatever you want.
no, but
I have it set up just at the bare minimum so you can check in with people.
next month
Yeah.
I'll have 4 weeks of class under my belt, and I'll be able to talk about some of the projects that we're doing, and that should be fun. So thanks a lot, you guys, and we'll see you again. Okay,
See you guys.
see you next time. In a month.